So in the previous lessons, we learned how to write the formula and the name for ionic compounds. And now we're going to be working with covalent compounds. So just as a reminder, ionic compounds are compounds that are formed between a metal and a nonmetal. Covalent compounds are going to be between two nonmetals. So if you have two nonmetals, you'll have a covalent compound. And instead of just writing out the name like we did for ionic compounds, you are going to include prefixes, and these are the prefixes right here, this table right here, that you will include to represent the number of atoms that that covalent compound has. And so let's go over these prefixes. So 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra, 5 is penta, 6 is hexa, 7 is hepta, 8 is octa, 9 is nona, and 10 is deca. Okay, so if I have 1 atom, I would use mono. If I have 4 atoms, I would use tetra. The only rule is you do not start the name of a compound with mono. So even if you only have 1 atom as the first atom of that covalent compound, you do not use the word mono. You do not use the prefix mono. Okay, so let's look at some examples here. So CO, I've got 1 carbon. So yes, it might be tempting to write monocarbon, but we're not going to because we do not start the name with mono. So it's just going to be carbon. And you have 1 oxygen. So this is going to be mon. So mono, so mon, and then just like with ionic compounds, where you get rid of the ending for the second atom and add an IDE ending, that's what you're going to do here. So it's going to be monoxide. Let's look at the next one. CO2. So I have 1 carbon, so I'm just going to write carbon, not monocarbon, carbon. And now I have 2 oxygens, so this is going to be dioxide. Okay, for the next one, number 3, N2O3. So now I have 2 nitrogen, so this is going to be dinitrogen. And I have 3 oxygen, so this is going to be trioxide. Okay, and then finally for the last one, P2S5. I have 2 phosphoruses, so I'm going to have diphosphorus. And I have 5 sulfurs, so this is going to be penta for my prefix. And then sulfur, I'm going to get rid of the UR ending, and this will just be pentasulfide. All right, so now let's work on writing out the formula for these compounds. So I have 4 examples here. I give you the name and I ask for the formula. So unlike ionic compounds where you're needing to cross charges, here I'm just going to use the prefixes and write it as it's given. So it tells me carbon, which tells me I have 1 carbon. And then it's tetrafluoride. So I have fluorine and I have 4 fluorines. So no need to cross charges. You would just write CF4. For the next one, silicon dioxide. I have 1 silicon, Si, and I have 2 oxygens, O2. Okay. For the next one, dinitrogen trisulfide. I have 2 nitrogens, so N2. Trisulfide tells me I have 3 sulfurs, and that's my formula. And for the last one, silicon tetrabromide. So I have 1 silicon, and I have 4 bromines. Tetra is 4, and that's all there is to it. So no crossing of charges here. Your prefixes simply tell you how many of each atom you have, but remember you can only use this when you have a covalent compound, which is between 2 nonmetals.